I've been feeling a case of prolonged burnout, working on things I don't enjoy and overall feeling confused in terms of the direction of my career. I can feel my confidence and motivation plummeting. I feel like I could really benefit from a work break, spending the time to explore personal projects, but I'm really scared about quitting and unsure of how that would look to hiring managers. Do you have any advice on whether breaks on the resume would affect hiring decisions and any tips on making the break productive or worthwhile?
It's a brilliant question. I love it. I love it so much. I just want to first flag, I'm not an employment expert, so I don't know. There's the answer, because I guess it would depend on whether or not a manager sees it as an issue. However, when you do, or I guess if you do choose to go back to work and go to another interview, then again, kind of circling back onto my previous comment, is come prepared. Come prepared with the evidence of, all right, so I took 12 months off. I just had like a moment for myself, right? What did I gain from this 12 months off? What have I learned about myself? What have I learned about the industry? What have I learned about, new ways of being creative? What have I learned about, what the needs are for different organizations? What have I learned about what I need from an organization? Because one of the things that I regularly tell young people and, adults alike is an interview is not just about you being interviewed. You're also interviewing the organization to see whether or not it's a place that you want to be. And, being prepared and looking at it and going, okay, well, what's important to me? What are my non-negotiables? And then what have I brought to myself from this break? Then I think, as far as I'm concerned, if I was a manager and I had someone come to me saying, oh, I've been off for 12 months and I've got this, and this because of that, I'd think, oh, well, good on you for taking the time to actually explore it. So that would really be the first thing. The second thing, in terms of how to make it productive and worthwhile, well, again, it's about looking at what do you actually want to get out of this break. Because if you go into a holiday because you're going into a holiday and you're not really present, you end up looking at when we're leaving. So the holiday goes really quickly because it's always like, oh, we're leaving next week, But when you're in the holiday and you're actually there in today's moment, like, what are we now? We're 1:10 p.m. on Thursday, the 2nd of December. Right now, here I am with you guys, with the people who are listening, and this is where I'm at that moment. If you implement this kind of presentness, or presence to your holidays or your breaks or your time off, you're going to actually have the time to get something out of it. And then the last thing is NEIS is always an option. So NEIS stands for New Enterprise Incentive Scheme. It is a national incentive from the government that in some situations you can actually be paid to start your own business. They provide you with, mentoring and support, and you learn a certificate for a new small business. And it's a really beautiful way of starting your own thing. You can now, the legislation has changed, you can now do it as a part-time thing. Previously it used to be that you had to be working full-time in your own business to be qualified for NEIS. However, I think it's a really valuable option that if you feel like, I'm tired of all of the stuff that comes with being in a larger organization, and you feel like you have enough experience, enough drive, and also enough money behind you to be able to handle it. And my recommendation is at least have 6 months worth of living expenses and 6 months worth of business running expenses saved up in cash money before you make that decision, unless you can get paid by the government for doing the NEIS program, because if you fall under that category, that's awesome. They support you. But yeah, that would be my recommendation, is make sure you've got a little bit of a kitty so that when you're first starting and things are a bit slow, it doesn't become stressful.
I love that presence advice. I took a day at the beginning of this week And I did at one point find myself going, you know, I've only got like 12 hours and 45 minutes left of my break. Oh God, you know, it's so easy to forget. Yes, great advice.
So just pay attention to now rather than when it's going to finish.
Lindsay.
When you said niece, I thought, yeah, South of France sounds really great. But then I realised that, I thought that's a sabbatical and a half.
And to get paid to go would be amazing.
Yeah. Look, it's a big one, and I think that everyone has their different ceilings. So, you know, the old keep calm and carry on type thing, people still abide by that. But there's as we've hinted to, the thread along through all of this is so that I think we've found out that we're all susceptible to that breaking point, no matter how much we steel ourselves to it. So being kind to yourself and forgiving yourself to take those times, whether it is a short work break, I think you kind of, as the great shoe company says, just do it. Like, you know, it's not just dropping everything right now and going, I'm gone. You know, it's probably not best for anyone to do that. Even though there's a rush of energy in the whole adrenaline of doing it. But I think it's that planning ahead again. You know, I think, again, coming from the creative approach, personal projects is such a critical thing to just keep the mind flowing and fresh. But when you've got busy lives, whether it's just a tiring career, whether it's just commutes, whether it's family, all those other boring things that kind of tend to suck all your time out, finding a way to fit it in. I really think that people have got this concept that personal projects and taking time to yourself require days and days and days and days on end. I've found recently I'm getting up quarter of an hour earlier in the morning and sitting outside and watching the birds leave the tree, or throwing the AirPods in and going on to free mindfulness minutes on Fitbit app for 5 minutes. That quarter of an hour waking up in the morning while everyone's still asleep, all of this is 5:45 for me, 5:45. And that helps you just kind of ease into it and prep for your day, rather than waking up going, shit, I've got to be, and just you don't have any time to do anything. If you transfer that way of thinking across so many different factors of your life, whether it's work life, what can you do in a lunchtime? What can you do in traffic on the way to work? What can you do? I listen to podcasts, and at lunchtime I consider my walk to get my lunch a mindful exercise. That then arms yourself with enough mental energy to battle that burnout, as well as give you time to go, you know what? I can do my work. I can also do my personal projects. I got so many notebooks of things I'm going to do. I haven't quite done them yet, but I'm forgiving myself for that, because you know what? That notebook is progress.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because you haven't done it yet doesn't mean you've failed. You're on your way. So, sorry, the last thing with the resumes, if I saw someone come in and said that they've taken a 6-month sabbatical because they wanted to explore Renaissance art in Eastern Europe, I'd go, that's great, come and work for me. Because that means that person is committed to going beyond themselves in a passion and feeding their creative beyond these 4 walls that we get trapped in.
Brilliant. I think absolutely I'd be the same. Like, if you've taken your break and you are in control of yourself, you know, like, that's such a great thing to know that somebody's coming to you with that. Tara's put a book in that we should all go and read called...
It's called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and it basically describes in a few extra steps, but basically what Lindsay was saying is if you get up, you know, he talks about the life savers. So it's 6 habits of successful people that you do for 10 minutes each, an hour before you would normally have gotten up in the morning. And so usually that's when, you know, everybody else is asleep. And so the S stands for silence. So meditation, mindfulness, prayer. A is affirmations. V is visualization. visualization. E is exercise, so some sort of movement in your body. R is for reading, some kind of self-development. And then S is for scribing, so either journaling, writing out your goals, writing out your ta-da list is what I call it, whatever it may be. And yeah, following through, if you can get past the Americanness of the storytelling in there, it's a really great book. I think it's fantastic.
I think, like, and being kind to yourself, like I think you said, Lindsay, like just going for a walk sometimes, even if it's during the day, and getting your mind off of things actually will help you work. And it can be work, right? That is you being productive. It's not, you're not the value of the number of hours you spend at your computer. I've been chatting to the people who started this startup called Endel.io. And I often spend, like, my Spotify playlists is like Nordic atmosphere and Icelandic atmosphere and all this kind of stuff. That's what I listen to during the day and at night. And then these guys came along, and there's like an AI powered machine that responds to your body. Like if you're wearing the Apple Watch and you got the app, it responds to you. And I did like a 45-minute walk the other day with Endel playing. And I didn't even know I'd been on a walk. I was so kind of like in the zone. I just took the dog and I was just like, oh, this is good. And then I couldn't even remember what I'd done on the walk or anything like that. And it felt so refreshing. So yeah, that's
quite problematic, actually. Normally people get called for that, to take the poor person back home.
Oh, yes. That'd be me. So if anyone sees me, just tap my watch and get me back on track would be good.
My Spotify rap for the year had my number one genre as ambient. So we're kind of in the same thing here. It must be the theme.
I'll send you, I'll put it in. I'll send you my Nordic atmosphere playlist. Bit of a running joke in my house. That's what's always playing.